Hello, listeners. Thank you for listening to 96.5 KZAA with Madre and Warrior Mother. So you've got Siobhan Hoover here, our beautiful co-hostess, and myself, Ana Rosa Rizo Centino. And today we are talking about societal expectations of women. And why do we have such a long list and men have a very tiny list?
Very, very short. That's a golden question. We recently listened to something that ran through this list, and some things that may have stood out for you also really hit home for me. So
many things. Try to make sure that you dream big but stay small. Try to be sexy but not too sexy. Have some respect for yourself. You can be assertive, but then when you are assertive, you are seen as aggressive, or the BITCH word, which we're not able to say on the air.
That's good to know. Some of the things that stood out for me was think like a man in order to be successful, but don't act like one if you want to be liked. That burns a little bit.
Well, it's just so many things that we have to be for everyone else, but do we ever stop to think of who we want to be for ourselves, right? Because I think for a lot of my life, I have lived it for other people's approval, and I'm like, wait, but do I like me?
Right.
Because that's the important part, because you have to live with yourself and look at yourself in the mirror every day.
I think that's how we were trained to do. As you're growing up, it's like, be the good girl, don't cause waves, don't ruffle any feathers out there. Just, at least for me, that was always, I took pride in being the good girl, and I took pride in always doing what I was told and, following the rules. And now I've gotten to an age where I don't know if it is my age or just it's growth, but I can't care so much about what other people think.
Well, also
me.
it's exhausting.
Yeah.
Trying to keep up with what X, Y, and Z person thinks about me.
Yes.
At the end of the day, are they paying my bills? Are they taking care of my kids?
Yeah.
That
is what it comes down to. Another one in relation to work that stood out for me too was, working moms being called selfish because a lot of their time obviously is not spent with their kids. So the stay-at-home mom is considered lazy
or unfulfilled,
or the childless woman is unfulfilled. And it's like, well, wait a second. Have you ever stayed at home and taken care of kids and know what that kind of day is like? It's exhausting. So, I've gotten to a place where others' opinions of me, they just don't matter so much anymore. And I don't really, not that I don't care who likes me and who doesn't, I actually do, but I do feel like it's, that's a people pleasing tendency, it's like, everyone wants to be liked. But if there are things, where I'm at in my life, if there are things that people don't agree with, I'm kind of like, okay, well, peace out. Yeah. I like me, my kids love me. That's what matters most. And so, as far as this list goes, of all these things, it's constantly running in our minds as women. Do you feel that? Do you feel like it's something that's on your mind a lot?
I mean, I think it used to be.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it was something about turning 40 that I'd have many less F's to give.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah, because now if Gloria's good and I feel good, then that's kind of like my main priority. And when people think of taking care of kids, I think they only think of the very basic stuff, like feeding them, washing their clothes, taking them to school. But there's so much more that goes into making sure, especially our young girls of color, grow up with a good self-esteem and not hating themselves because they're fed images every day of people that don't look like them. It's also reassuring your kids at all times, you're actually perfect the way you are. And I love you, and finding out how their day was. Did anybody bully them? There's just so much more that goes into caretaking than just those basic needs, right?
Yes. And I think I've talked about the running list before, like of, okay, what does the house need? The house we need more salt, like random things. Oh, they're outgrowing their shoes. The pets need food.
They're running away.
Yeah. My cats, they try to escape me. They're still babies though. I can't go outside. But yes, so it's these constant running lists of, I have to call the doctor, I have to ensure there's gas in the car, I have to, and so there's all these things that goes into motherhood that we don't necessarily even think about. The other side of it is, still wanting to maintain your womanhood. And for me, feeling sexy or cute it's a big deal. Like, I enjoy dressing up. I enjoy putting on a red lip. Like, I enjoy being cute. And I don't think I know. Ta-da! Always with the flower in her hair. I love it. But I feel like in society, it's difficult to like have that sexy mother kind of thing. Not to say that they don't exist. Obviously they do. We have an acronym for it. Did I see it?
Yeah, but even then it's like, why do you have to go there? Why does it have to be about us being MILFs?
Yeah.
Like, being sexy goes so far beyond, at least in my opinion. It's like, oh, I'm feeling myself, like I feel good in my body. I can feel 100% present in a room, and not feel like I'm leaving any of myself behind, right? Like, because like wearing the red lips and wearing the hoops, that's kind of frowned upon in some spaces, and those are not spaces I care to be in anymore.
Right. Or if I am in those spaces, I'm just showing up as me and kind of being like, okay, well, take it or leave it. It doesn't take away from my ideas, doesn't take away from who I am and where my heart is.
Yeah.
It's like, no, this is my style and I like it.
Yeah.
And
y'all are boring.
Yeah.
With your gray suit.
Yes. Your hair pulled back. One of a job that I had taken on was this part-time job. This is when I lived out in the East Coast years ago, and it was for this law firm. And the woman who was training me, and this was a temp position, so I was like, well, let's see how this goes. But the woman who was training me was a Black woman, and she had sat me down in her office and told me that basically I was going to have to turn down my sex appeal. Now, I was in a button-up shirt and some slacks, right? It was long sleeve. I didn't have it open, but my hair was down. And she also told me that my nose piercing was suggestive. I was like, what does it suggest? And
that is so weird.
I know.
I've never heard that before.
Right? And then at the time, I still have them, but I had my ears pierced at the top, and I had little diamond studs in there. And she told me that it would be wise to take those out and to pull my hair back every day, so I didn't appear as, like being overly like, I don't know, attractive. I don't know what she was telling me. So I sat and I thought about it one night, and I was just like, I don't want to work for a place that I have to pretend to be someone else. It just doesn't seem like, and for some people that they do that, and that's okay, that's their choice. But for me, I just couldn't find myself doing that day in and day out, trying to play down my appearance. Make yourself small. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing about capitalism, is like when you're in those positions, no matter what color you are, a lot of times folks feel compelled to hold up those systems of like professionalism, which I've always seen professionalism as very racist, to be honest, because it just has this one cookie cutter mold that you have to fit into in order to be like okay with the bosses,
Right.
And so, I had the same situation also when I used to have a corporate job many moons ago, where it was like another woman of color, another Latina who told me very similar. I mean, I didn't have any piercings, but it was around like how I was dressing. Um, so it's just unfortunate because they're gonna miss out on a lot of people
Mhm.
just by having that kind of attitude.
Yeah, unfortunately. Really good people. Me and you.
I
Me and you.
mean, I'm biased, but yeah.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of tired of um it's almost like if your standards, whatever standards that you have, we're breaking free of them these days. I'm really trying to drill that into my children too. And really, I'm very careful about how I talk about myself around them because I certainly want to model, confidence and being okay with where we're at. But I always talk about striving to be better, you know. And so I don't want to drill that into them like, well, you're not enough. You have to be better. You have to be better. So have been very mindful recently of that. I've noticed that, I work at home sometimes, or, they'll see me, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go to the gym. Um, and they'll ask, like, God, you work out a lot. I'm like, well, yeah, I'm always trying to be better, always trying to keep healthy. Or I'll tell them like I'm getting older and I have to keep moving. If you don't keep moving, then you fall stagnant, and that's not a good place to be. So
But that's good that you make it about moving instead of like, oh, I want to be this size or have X,
never
Y, and
about
Z
size.
features.
Yeah, never about size. Um, oh, I do tell them like I want to be stronger,
Mhm.
and then I'll share experiences with them. Like, oh, I was at the gym today, I squatted 200 pounds and I'm like, I want to squat 300. So I want to be stronger. So I make it about strength, mobility, that kind of thing, and then feeling confident. So, you know, but I have been caught in the mirror, kind of being like, ugh, this doesn't look cute, or you know what I mean? And I think we all do that, but I'm aging and I kind of like they'll laugh about it. My kids told me the other day, oh, you were born in the 1900s.
Wow, that makes it sound like a million years ago.
I was like, okay, yeah, okay, little 2000s. Um, yeah, born in the 1900s. So my hope and my goal is to simply age gracefully. It's like we all have to get older. Nobody escapes that. Um, Nobody's getting out alive. So to age gracefully is the goal.
Yeah. Definitely. Well, and it's also finding out what do your kids find that makes them feel confident? Like
Mhm.
what are the things that make you feel confident? What makes them feel confident?
Yeah.
Because for you, it's like getting stronger. What is it for them? Because I know for my daughter, I can tell that when she says a really funny joke, that makes her feel pretty confident. And she does have a great sense of humor. She's actually the funniest person I've ever met. Um, so she should have a stand-up routine one day.
I feel
think
like we
she'll be
should
very
hang out.
successful. Yeah.
Yeah, like let's hang out.
Yes.
Oh man.
Didn't you just go to the East Coast, or did you go to Texas?
I went to Texas.
Texas.
Yeah.
I saw you traveling somewhere.
Yes.
How
Yeah.
was that?
It was so lovely. I went to go see my brother. And although we have different moms, like it's still my family. And so we went to her house and oh my gosh, we ate so much, but it's so nice being
I saw dancing.
and there's a little cup challenge. So I get there and I call her Mama Nooney. And she said, oh, I got PJs for you and Naya, for my daughter. I'm like, oh, PJs. Okay, we're gonna have matching PJs. And she's like, and we're gonna do the Beyonce challenge. And I'm like, okay. I'm in.
I mean, you're in Texas and she's from Texas, so that makes sense.
Yes, I know. Well, they were from out here and they moved out that way. I mean, the space that they have out there is incredible for the price. I mean, just oh, it hurts my heart because I'm like, I'm paying more in my rent than you are in your mortgage, and you have this like huge, like, 6-bedroom house.
Wow.
In any case, the being together and then also being with like the older generations, and these women are very unapologetic.
I love it.
They are very much just really genuine people, and and it's a lot of love. But what I see in them, I'm like, yes, when I get to be this age, um this is who I want to be. Like, okay, everybody's coming to my house. I got PJs for everybody. We're matching, and we're gonna do this little challenge, this
Yeah.
TikTok challenge.
That's so cool.
That's it's like, this is what I want. This is what I want for my life. But it was so good just to it's when family's not here, close to you. It's kind of like, oh, I miss them. So now I have to pay another visit out there pretty soon.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been really homesick from Mexico too, because I haven't been in like 15, 16 years.
Oh, wow.
So I got my passport applications for our whole family so we can go and Gloria can meet all her cousins. I'm like, girl, you have like 100 cousins.
Yes,
At least, if
at
not
least.
more.
Funny, I still meet new cousins here all the time because both of my parents were from here. But so we're in Mexico.
Guadalajara.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's a fun place. Well, shoot, I hope you. Do you have plans to go back soon then?
As soon as I get my passport.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a whole process from what I was reading.
Yeah, because I had a passport. I got it processed really fast though. And this was back when I worked for the United States Student Association. And so they actually took care of the paperwork for me and expedited it because there was a conference happening in Ghana.
Ooh,
It was an International Student Congress. I think that's what it was
to
called.
Ghana.
Yes, it was so beautiful.
Oh my gosh.
So I never had to worry about the paperwork back then because they did it all. So
Yeah.
now I have to do it myself.
We're gonna have to put me up on it because I just grabbed some applications too, and I'm like, this seems daunting.
And you got to get those glamour shot passport
That's
photos.
it. That's it. Oh man.
Like those pictures we took with Carlos, maybe he can just crop them really small.
There you go. I know, right? I
I
wonder.
still need your help.
I will help you pick out pictures. We do that right after. I had a question for you, and then I drew a blank. What would you say is, as you age, what would you say is your greatest strength as a woman?
Believing in my voice more. I don't think I ever believed in my voice as much as I do now.
Mhm.
But even then, it's still a struggle sometimes.
Right. Yeah. To find your power in it, or
Yeah.
okay, just
Yeah.
to speak up altogether. What do you think?
I mean, I've been a loudmouth for a very long time. So, but I think before I just kind of did it despite my fear. Now the fear is kind of leaving. For the most part, it'll creep up here and there, but not as much as it used to.
Yeah. I think about women from like what I would call the olden days. Although my kids tell me I was born in there.
The
Like,
1900s.
I like, yeah, the 1900s, and I like olden day music. I'm like, whatever. It's like 90s and 2000s. But I think about these women, let's say even like back in the 50s, who, they were stay-at-home moms. They basically like obeyed their husbands. They didn't have much of a voice. And I think like, God, I feel like they would have hung me or something with all the opinions that I have. And, I'm also like, don't tell me what to do, and listen to me, but don't tell me what to do. But I think about all of these struggles and how much things have evolved. and where we're at. And one of the things that I love is when women do find their voice and their power and aren't afraid to speak up anymore. I struggled with that for many, many years. And I went to this sound bath healing session in the salt caves here.
That's amazing.
Oh, it was like, so it was really incredible. And at the end, I thanked there were two people who were putting it on. It was a man and a woman. I thanked them both, but the man, he said, oh, he was like, oh, sis. He said, your ancestors were swirling about. And he was like, and what he saw was that my throat chakra was closed. And he was like, you need to speak up. There are things that you need to say that aren't coming out. And he's like, but you need to know that your ancestors are behind you.
Aww.
And they are encouraging you to.
Wow.
And I was just like, and I immediately began crying because I knew exactly what he was talking about.
It gave me chills.
I know. I still, yeah, it was such a moment for me in my life that will forever stand out, because I was like, I wasn't feeling like I had actual people here that had my back, or that I could really turn to. I've always had friends that I can turn to, but really feel,
Yeah.
you know
No,
what I
I know
mean?
what you're saying, because you have lots of friends, but there's like friends that you can drink with, friends that you can party with, and then there's the friends that will listen to you in
Yes.
your quietest, darkest moments,
Yes.
and they will give you your space to fall apart when you need to fall apart,
Yes.
and they'll be there to help you pick up the pieces. But they're not necessarily the same friends. If you can find friends that can also party and do all that with you,
Yeah.
that's rare.
I do have, yeah, I do have a few. Or we can be moms, we get
Yeah.
the kids together and,
Yeah.
and have a great time. We can party, we can brunch, I like
Yeah.
brunch really hard.
I still need to brunch with you.
Yes, you do. Yes, please. And to sit and to talk, and then also a friend to tell me when I'm wrong, or say, hey, that was a little out of line. Those are the kind of friends that I really appreciate. And I do have, a handful of them that I can turn to like that. It was really important, I think, for women to have your tribe.
Yeah.
It's really challenging, but in any case, so I, from that point on, when I finally was able to come forward with certain things that needed to be said, it was like, oh, in my heart of hearts, to want to provide that for other women.
Yeah.
And I feel like there were certain men in our circles that found that, I don't know if it was more intimidating for them, or what it was, but it was kind of like, oh, this is the guru. She's going to tell you how to find your voice. Oh, okay. I roll. And
It's just because you posed a threat to the patriarchy, that's all.
yeah. Yes, I guess so. But then that was, at that point I was like, I can't care.
Yeah.
What they think, and it's like, okay, well, I love your wife, or I love your girlfriend. And so if she finds her voice, that's on you. But yeah, I feel like it did challenge something, and it really, I felt the side eyes. And so being able to kind of separate that out and be like, well, that's your problem, not mine. It's really difficult to do, but considering this list of societal norms, like, well, you have to kind of like get past that.
Yeah.
So we are supposed to be soft and feminine, but sometimes I feel like, well, being a little bit hard is okay. Sometimes you gotta flex your gangster a little bit.
Pop your collar.
That's it.
My friend Abel posted a joke on my page one time, because I was going off about how my husband didn't want me to watch football in our house anymore. He straight up told me that I couldn't. Like, and he posted, how do you make a Chicana laugh? And it's you stand in front of her, you look her deep in her eyes, and you say, "Aquí mando yo." See, it works.
Like, oh, okay.
So yeah, I've been watching football since.
I was gonna say, what are you cussing in front of the TV or what's happening?
I'm not cussing at all. My mother-in-law is the one that cusses. No, I was just very passionate about the game and shouting a little bit, not a lot.
Yeah,
Normal stuff.
it was normal. And why do we have to be quiet?
I know.
Yeah. Sports are exciting.
What sports do you like?
Oh my gosh. Well, basketball is
Same.
my favorite. Yeah.
Who's your team?
The Lakers. Yeah.
I'm like, if you would have said the Bulls.
Oh
sorry,
yeah.
it's
No.
over.
Yeah.
I was
The
in the Future
Celtics.
Lakers club when I was a kid.
Were you?
Yeah, I met all of the players. And let's see, James Worthy and Vladi Divac both gave me their jerseys. I have them in my childhood room. Yeah, and I got to meet all of the players, and I saw Magic Johnson from afar. I did not get to meet him. But yeah, like I was obsessed with
Yes.
basketball as a kid. I was the one little girl that you saw in her little floofy dress with her Mary Jane shoes shooting over the guy.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was me too. So I was such a tomboy growing up, and you know, I was born and raised a Laker, and so I wanted to be a Laker girl. And people ask me what I want to be when I grow up, a Laker girl. And so when I was 10 years old, my dad took us down to a game. They were playing at the Forum at the time, and he went to school with one of the coach's daughters.
Mhm.
So after the game, I got the game ball, and it was 1990. So it was signed by Magic Johnson, Vlade Divac, James Worthy, Byron Scott, Michael Cooper, Pat Riley, Jerry West even signed it because he was part of the staff. Like the entire team and the entire staff signed it. And then the Laker girls presented me with a poster, and it was like, to Siobhan, follow your dreams. It was such a big deal. And you know, that little memory, well, I'll never forget it, but I'll show you my ball when I get off this call, because it's so special when you have those memories.
Yeah.
It's like, that's why, you know, for my kids, I'm like, what experiences can I give them rather than stuff?
Right.
You know, and perhaps they can have, you know, a souvenir from whatever it is, but I more so want to create these memories for them.
Well, the State League is a good start.
Oh my gosh, I know. Yeah, they will never ever forget that. And they're also asking, when is it starting again?
Oh, because it's off season right now.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So for those of you who don't know, the Sea League is a program. It's a ocean recreation program for kids of color. So they teach them how to surf, stand up paddleboard. They have taken trips out to the islands and gone kayaking. I get to join in on that one. That was a really good time. Free diving, they do beach cleanups. It's just all around a really great program. And the founder, Chris Ragland, he's just amazing with the kids and an all around a good person.
Awesome human being for sure.
Yeah.
Shout out to Chris Ragland.
Hey, Chris. Yeah. So in creating these memories, you know, I think about my childhood, excuse me, and I was always, you know, with the boys, they were outside playing baseball. I'm like, well, I want to play. They were wrestling. You know, my brother was into WWE wrestling.
So well, I was into Glow. Do you remember Glow?
Yes, I do.
Or
The
the
Gorgeous Ladies
Ladies
of
of
Wrestling. Who was yours? Oh man, I had a bunch of them. I liked Tina Ferrari. Yes, she was my favorite because she always had that purple on. Was it Mount Fiji?
Yes, she might be my favorite.
Yes.
She's my favorite.
Yeah. And they just did a series on
I saw
Netflix.
that.
Did
I
you
saw
watch
that.
it?
I watched
Yeah.
the whole thing, of course. As soon as
Me
it came
too.
on, I binged the whole thing.
Me too. It was so great. I feel like they should bring something like that back, but just not be so offensive.
Well, WWE has a bunch of women that are really good now.
They do.
They just did a cage match this weekend. That was pretty fun to watch.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the
Okay.
Survivor Series.
Oh, that's what Roman was saying. My son likes WWE, and he's always like, "Mom, so is Roman Reigns still your guy, or is
I mean, he's
who's?"
fine.
I love him. I love him.
He's fine.
So we actually went to. I had an uncle who passed away, and my aunt was like, what do your kids need or want? And asked my son, what do you want? And then he was like, well, I want to go to SummerSlam or something like that. I was like,
Oh,
don't ask for that. But, and it's
that's
like,
what he wanted.
that's what he wanted.
Yeah.
And so she was like, okay, we'll get the tickets. And so it was in Las Vegas. The morning we were supposed to leave, I get a notification the flight was canceled.
No.
And it was like, okay, so we go to the airport, we rented a car, and I was like, we're
Yeah.
just driving out there, let's go.
It's close enough.
Yeah. So we drove out there, and it was at the new Raiders Stadium, and which is incredible. In any case, we get in there, and then they tell us, oh, your seats are down there. And I'm like, oh, down there, like by the ring?
Oh,
We were like so close to ringside, and then we ended up, I should tell anybody this, but we ended up, so it was probably like 8 rows back.
Oh my gosh.
So when somebody would come out and into the ring, everybody would run up to the ring and take pictures, and then they would go back to their seats. So I kept noticing this row. There was never anybody sitting there. So I asked the guy, I said, hey, is anyone sitting there? And he's like, no, nobody's here. So I told Roman, go get your things. We're going to sit right here. And he was like, but those are not our seats. And I was like, go get your things.
Listen to your mother.
Sit over here. I'm going to get you ringside seats right now. And oh my gosh, it was literally from here to like my TV. It was
What?
incredible. Yeah.
Oh my
And it was
gosh.
Roman Reigns and John Cena.
That's so
SummerSlam, and it was such a great time. I grew up on WWF,
yeah. Before
and
they changed it.
yes. So it was almost like a dream come true for me as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. Oh my gosh, how is it already 11? That is crazy.
Ooh,
Wow. So thank you for listening to KCAA 96.5 FM. This has been Siobhan Hoover with Warrior Mother and Ana Rosa Rizzo Centino with Que Madre. And we are so happy you're listening. Hopefully you'll check us out again next Thursday at 6 p.m. Love you. Bye.